On a frozen Christmas Eve, the city shimmered with lights. Store windows glowed. Homes were warm. Laughter spilled into the streets. But behind closed doors, many hearts remained shut. Snow dusted the pavement like forgotten memories as a police. K9 suddenly stopped in the middle of his patrol and refused to move. His name was Bruno, a 7-year-old German shepherd who had served the force faithfully for years. He knew these streets, every sound, every scent, every shadow. Christmas Eve was usually quiet for him. Routine, predictable, but that night felt different. The air carried more than cold. It carried heaviness like the city itself was holding its breath. Bruno slowed near an old stone government building, its walls dark and unwelcoming. His ears twitched. His nose caught something faint but urgent. The smell of exhaustion, fear, fading warmth. Tucked against the wall lay two fragile figures, pressed tightly together. An elderly man and woman, wrapped in thin coats that had long lost their ability to protect. The man's arm was around the woman, pulling her close, as if his weakening strength could still shield her from the night. Their hair was white, their faces lined with decades of life, love, and quiet sacrifice. They had been there for hours, invisible to a world rushing past. Bruno stopped completely. This wasn't something he had been trained for. There was no command, no signal, no instruction from his handler yet. Something deeper took over. He stepped closer, slow and careful, his breath fogging the icy air. The woman's eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. The man's eyes were half open, unfocused, fighting sleep knowing sleep might be the last thing he ever felt. Bruno let out a low, gentle whine. Not fear, not alarm, recognition. His handler noticed the sudden tension on the leash and expected a distraction or false alert. But Bruno refused to move. He planted his paws firmly, positioning himself protectively toward the couple. The handler followed Bruno's gaze and saw what the city had missed. Emergency services were called immediately, but time was slipping away. The temperature had dropped below freezing, and the couple's bodies were already losing the fight. While they waited, Bruno did something no manual had prepared him for. He lay down beside them. Pressing his warm body gently against their legs, he shared the only thing he had left to give heat. Snow settled across his back, but he did not move. The man's fingers twitched, brushing Bruno's fur. The woman shifted slightly, a faint breath escaping her lips, as if that simple contact had pulled her back from the edge. Sometimes survival begins with the smallest spark. Sirens eventually broke the silence. Red and blue lights flashed against the stone walls as paramedics rushed in, wrapping the couple in thermal blankets, lifting them carefully. They were hypothermic, weak, but alive. Bruno stood and watched as they were taken away, his eyes fixed on them until the ambulance doors closed. Their names were Walter and Eleanor, married for over 50 years. Their life had been simple, but full. They had worked hard, raised children, dreamed modest dreams. Then time turned cruel. Medical bills drained their savings. Their children moved far away, consumed by lives of their own. One loss led to another until shelters replaced apartments, and finally, the streets replaced shelter. On Christmas Eve, every door was closed. So they sat together, deciding that if the end came, they would face it side by side. At the hospital, doctors worked through the night. Color returned to fingers. Breathing steadied. Hearts kept beating. Word of the rescue spread quietly, not as a headline, but as a reminder. Nurses whispered about it. Officers shared it softly. Someone took a photo of Bruno sitting outside the ambulance bay, snow clinging to his fur, waiting. By morning, Walter and Eleanor were stable. When they learned how they had been found, how a dog had refused to leave them, tears fell from faces that thought they had none left. In a world that had passed them by, a dog had truly seen them. In the days that followed, change arrived unexpectedly. A social worker stepped in. A local charity offered housing. Donations came quietly, worn clothes, letters, cards, apologies from strangers who had never known them. Bruno returned to his routine patrols. But something had shifted. People stopped more often. Children smiled wider when they saw his canine vest. He had become a symbol without ever knowing it. Walter and Eleanor moved into a small assisted living home after the new year. It wasn't much, but it was warm. They held hands more often now, aware of how close they had come to losing everything. Weeks later, Bruno visited. He walked in calmly, nails clicking softly on the floor. Walter and Eleanor reached out, resting their hands on his fur. No one spoke. No one needed to. That moment didn't fix the world. It didn't erase homelessness or loneliness. But it reminded everyone present of something simple and powerful. Compassion doesn't always come from grand gestures. Sometimes it comes from a dog who stops walking, from warmth shared when nothing else is left. And on the coldest night of the year, kindness chose to stay.